So by now, most of you have seen the pictures and images going around for the teacher that is missing, where the stories along the line of she left out on a taxi to go to work and she didn't show up at work and she has been missing since then. Now, this hit home for me because something similar almost happened to me back in 2013. I think my daughter was 2 years old, and at this time I'm living in Portmore. I was working at a popular call center in Portmore. I would not say their name, and I was on a 9 a.m. shift, and I was living like 5 minutes away from the call center to my house, and I usually leave out like 30 minutes because I wanted sometime I would want to go in on time, to pull up your system and get settled in before I started working. So this particular morning, I had some disagreement with my daughter's father in the morning, and when I realized the time had gone now, so I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be late for work. And usually that time, I pride myself on work, never late, never absent, all of that, because I was living, like as I mentioned, 5 minutes away, so I didn't want to be late for work. So by this time when I got ready, it was like 15 minutes to 9. So I was saying, it's, oh my God, I have a short span of time to get to work. So I lived across from, just my house is right across from the bus stop. So I went across the road to wait on a cab. When I stand up there, I was standing there for a good little, about 2 or 3 minutes. So the time is running because from the time I had to get to work. So I saw this taxi. He was going the opposite direction to where I'm going, and he pointed that direction. I said, no, I'm going down the road. So he drove down a little bit and he made a U-turn and he came back. And I got in the car and I said, driver, I'm going to X place where I worked. Because as it says, the popular call center, everybody know that place. So I said I was going there and got in the car. So when we got to the stoplight, and we drove like 2 minutes to get to the stoplight. When I got to the stoplight, no, we were there on a red light. When the light changed, I realized he didn't go straight. He made a diversion. So I said, driver, where you going? Remember, I tell you that I'm going to X place. And he said, I'm going to pick up somebody. But by that time, it didn't dawn on me to say, remember, he was going the opposite direction. So how all of a sudden you're going to pick up somebody? But then in my head, I was thinking that probably he's going to pick up passengers on the way, given that I was the only person in the car. So I hissed my teeth and I was like, but I just right there, so I go, could I just drop me off and spin on? Because I was saying that, all right, with the 2 little minutes, I probably would have been able to log in time. But then, anyways, he turned off the road, and there was another stoplight. He turned right. I said, all right, then fine. But while he was driving, that was the only thing the man had said to me in the car when he said, I'm going to pick up somebody. And for the entire time, he was kind of slouched, clutched to the right side of where he was sitting. He was to the driver's door. He was clutched to that side and he was sitting back relaxed. And this man was cruising. So I'm saying, look how I'm late. I said to myself, look how I'm late. And the man just barely a drive. But then I noticed that while he was driving, he was not like, the taxi man always aggressively toot everybody on the road. The road that he diverted on had more passengers. So I'm saying, he's not driving, he's not tooting anybody on the road to like pick up somebody. So I was like, all right, there is a filter off on that stretch that would take me back to my workplace. He passed that filter. I didn't say anything because there was also an upcoming turn as well that he could take, but the filter was closer to my workplace. So I see him pass there and I was just looking. You see, after he passed that stop, something came on me. I don't know. And I felt, kind of edgy. So by this time I had my handbag in my lap. So, I kind of put my strap up, and I had the $100 that I was going to pay, because that time was $100 for the fare. And I put my bag up on my shoulder and I held it closer to me. My phone was already in my bag. And I'm holding my bag close to me because I started getting this feeling. I'm saying, all right, let me see if when you get to that stoplight, the next stoplight to turn off, if he's going to stop, he's going to turn there. Got to that stoplight again. The stoplight was red. So I noticed that we were there, and as I tell you that, I had the money in my hand, and I was looking at him. I'm looking at the stoplight, looking at the stoplight, looking at him, side eyeing him, and I'm looking at the stoplight. The moment, and I kid you not, the moment that stoplight turned green, he didn't turn the steering wheel to go right. He continued straight, and not only that, the speed that the man went through the stoplight. So as a driver, we're going, and he didn't flinch, he didn't look at me, he didn't acknowledge me. So I had $100 in my hand, and I was saying here, and I just threw it in his lap. And I see the speed that the man is going. I said, no, 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 not today. And if you can remember, back in 2013 was the year of when they were taking away young girls, and taxi was on a high rampant where taxi man was taking. So I was on high alert. So when I noticed that, I said, no, no, not today. May I have 1 2-year-old at home? No, sir, not today. So he went through the lights, and when I see that the man really now stopped, there was no stopping, I opened the car door a bit, and thinking that the man would have stopped, the speed that he's going. So I said, all right, now or never. And I dived out of the car, and I realized, and I remember that when I dived out, I flipped and I was rolling. I think I rolled about 2 times. And when I got up, I saw the car blazing. I could only see the tail of the car going, heading almost to the roundabout to turn. And I remember a lady running towards me. So this time I not even get license plate, nothing. By this time now, the lady, there was a lady in her yard across the road, and I see her running, and she said, hi, you alright, I see what just happened. And she came across, and then somebody from her household came with a bottle of water, and she took me up and put me on the side of the road to sit down. And by these cars are now passing, and the person came with a bottle of water, and they were rubbing. Like, I was wearing a sewing at the time, so probably that's why I didn't get any face injury, but my elbows were scraped, my knees, the shin of my leg, the front part of my leg, it was totally torn off. And my back, maybe because of the flip, my blouse because I was wearing a top and a skirt to work, and because of that, my back was scraped up. And called the lady, and I called my baby father, and the time is running out. And I called my daughter's father, because I took up my phone, and while they were tending to me and washing off, I called my daughter. And in less than, I don't know, he came very quickly, and he was there. He was so enraged. What happened to you? And oh, this happened to you? And he wanted to take me to drive around in a taxi to just see if I could pick out the driver anywhere. And I was so traumatized. I cried. I was there crying, and I was hysterical. And they eventually just took me to the he drove to one of the taxi park to see, and I didn't see anybody. I didn't recognize anybody. And then I went down the road, and then we went to the police station. I made the report there. But then, you have to come back to part 2 to see what happened after that, because after we went to the police station and the time has run out, guys. Sorry.